Welcome to Sharp Angle. What if the fight for the Arctic is no longer cold? Denmark just accused the United States of meddling in Greenland's political status. It sounds like a plot from a spy novel, but it's real and it could reshape global power in ways most Americans aren't even thinking about. Here are the facts. Denmark summoned the U.S. charged affair after its intelligence services revealed a network of influence, allegedly tied to figures close to Donald Trump. The claim is that this network tried to stir debate about Greenland's future, its degree of autonomy, and even the possibility of closer ties to Washington. The U.S. government officially denies meddling, but the fact that a NATO ally publicly accused America shows just how sensitive the Arctic chessboard has become. So why does Greenland matter? Because it's not just a frozen island. Greenland holds vast deposits of rare earth minerals, critical for high-tech industries, from smartphones to fighter jets. It sits on the doorstep of the Arctic Ocean, where melting ice is opening new shipping lanes that could rival the Suez Canal. And it hosts America's northernmost military installation, Thule Air Base, part of the U.S. missile defense system and early warning radar network. Whoever influences Greenland influences the Arctic. And the Arctic is the new frontier of global power. This isn't the first time Greenland has been on Washington's mind. In 2019, Donald Trump openly floated the idea of buying Greenland from Denmark. Copenhagen dismissed the idea as absurd, but it revealed something important. U.S. interest in Greenland isn't a joke, it's strategic. Since then, climate change has accelerated Arctic melting, Russia has fortified its Arctic bases, and China has invested in polar research and infrastructure. The stakes are higher now than ever before. For Washington, the motives are obvious. Access to resources that reduce dependence on China. Military positioning to counter Russia. Control of shipping lanes that could dominate 21st century trade. Greenland may look empty, but in it's prime real estate. For Denmark, this is about sovereignty. Copenhagen insists that Greenland's future is a matter for Denmark and Greenlanders, not Washington. The accusation of U.S. interference was a public slap in the face, rare between NATO allies. European leaders are watching nervously. If Washington pressures a small ally like Denmark, what does that mean for NATO unity? Could America's Arctic ambitions fracture its closest partnerships? Back in the United States, the politics are already messy. For Trump's allies, Arctic assertiveness is a selling point. America should claim what it needs, no apologies. For Democrats, meddling in Greenland is reckless, undermines alliances, and distracts from domestic priorities. Congress is talking about hearings, asking whether unofficial channels tied to Trump were freelancing foreign policy. The Biden administration insists U.S. policy hasn't changed, but skepticism remains. What does this mean for ordinary Americans? At first glance, not much. Greenland feels remote, exotic, irrelevant. But look closer. If tensions with Denmark escalate, U.S.-EU trade could be affected. If America secures rare earth supplies, it could strengthen U.S. manufacturing and lower dependence on Chinese imports. If Arctic shipping routes open under U.S. influence, it could reshape global commerce, lowering costs and boosting competitiveness. And militarily, a secure Arctic means safer skies and stronger defenses against Russian missiles. In other words, what happens in Greenland doesn't stay in Greenland. It touches your economy and your security. For NATO and the European Union, the implications are troubling. NATO was built on trust between allies, and Denmark is one of the founding members. If Washington is accused of manipulating Danish politics, even indirectly, it risks opening cracks in alliance cohesion. Europe already feels sidelined in Arctic matters, with Washington and Moscow dominating the narrative. Now Brussels must decide whether to close ranks with Denmark or smooth things over to preserve unity. Either choice weakens Europe's hand. Meanwhile, China and Russia are watching closely. Moscow already treats the Arctic as its backyard, building new bases and icebreakers. Beijing has declared itself a near-Arctic state and is investing in Greenland's infrastructure, from airports to mining. If the U.S. is seen as meddling, Russia and China will use it as propaganda, proof that America plays dirty while they present themselves as legitimate partners. In reality, all three powers want the same thing: resources, roots, and influence. Greenland is simply the pawn caught in the middle. So where does this go from here? Scenario 1. De-escalation. Washington and Copenhagen talk it out, deny wrongdoing, and move on. Scenario 2. Escalation. Denmark pushes harder, the EU backs it, and U.S.-European relations take a hit. Scenario 3. Long game. America doubles down quietly, expanding its presence in Greenland, whether Europe likes it or not. Scenario for multipolar Arctic. China increases investments, Russia expands militarization, and the Arctic becomes another arena of great power, rivalry. Each path carries risks for NATO, for trade, for America's reputation as a reliable ally. History reminds us that the Arctic has always been more than ice. During the Cold War, it was the front line of nuclear deterrence. Greenland's Thule base was built in the 1950s to watch Soviet bombers. Today, The Arctic is again a front line, this time for resources, trade, and great power competition. What looks like a frozen wasteland is really the new Persian Gulf, the place everyone wants a stake in. Before it's too late, and here's the bottom line. Denmark's accusation isn't just a diplomatic spat. It's a sign that America's Arctic ambitions are surfacing in the open. For Americans, the question is simple. Do we want our leaders quietly maneuvering for influence in places like Greenland, or should these high-stakes games be debated openly? Because the future of the Arctic isn't just about ice, it's about power, resources, and America's place in the 21st century world order. Thanks for watching Sharp Angle. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments, because the next great power struggle may not be in the Pacific or the Middle East, it may be unfolding right now, on top of the world.